Islam and Baha'i faith, but real face of baha'u'llah was shown to me by Tawheed. He took me to an old, really old man in north of a few kilometers where we lived, in the northern part of where we lived in Tehran, a fellow by the name of Mr. Kuchektan. This fellow used to be himself a mullah, a priest, Islamic, clergy. Very learned. He became Baha'i once. Apparently they cheated him and they talked to him, and he was going back to Islam, and anyway studying more, and this time he became a real firm Baha'i, and he was very angry and kind of very enthusiastic at the same time, man with a lot of really exuberance in him. I started to talk, and Tawheed brought me and a couple of other boys. He was teaching us anyways, took us to there because Tawheed was 5 years even older than me. So when I saw this Kuchektan, it seems he knows too much, lots he knows. I went in downtown Tehran. I myself put one of those books that is written against Baha'i faith. I brought the book to Mr. Kuchektan. I says, page 1, question 1. He was saying, and we're asking the question, and he was answering from Quran, from other books, and we got the pen and paper and started to write these things down. Before you know, we were full of all these objections that they were asking. We were totally fired up now. This was what Tawheed did. As a result, when I came back, I saw Mustafa was already talking to two other of his friends. But again, they were not my age, so I would not be calling them my friend or friend of my younger brother. But one of them was crazy Nemat. They called him Nemat Khole, means crazy. Boy was not crazy, but they just tell him that. The other guy was clumsy Jawad, which they say that, I've seen that. Jawad, when he would talk, when he walked in the street, he would just gaze in his stairs before he goes. I don't know, he was not on drugs or anything. Young kids, we're talking, what, 15 years, 16? So these two also joined him, and they're asking questions. I think I took Baha'i prayers, obligatory prayers from Tawheed or somebody, and I was reading to them in park and different places. They were just totally into it. I remember Nemat said, I had a dream that God has taken me in his bosom. He was a man with a white cloth and a beard, and the devil was trying to get me from him, and he was casting the devil away. I said, Nemat, I don't know. Later on I found out that was baha'u'llah that the boy dreamt, because we brought the Baha'i faith in that area. So I can't tell you how these boys, they changed enormously. So the entire Majidiyah were thinking that, some big organization must be behind me to teach me, to train me. Look, I'm talking with such a confidence and this and that. This invigorated the Muslims to come bigger. They come in really in troops all over. You can walk. Everywhere I walked in Majidiyah, there was one of these anti-Baha'i guys either wanted to talk or bring somebody else, or they were talking to Nemat and Mustafa. There was a lot of funny stories happening anyways with them. But somehow kids, they were convinced by my answers. And these boys, these anti-Baha'i groups, they find themselves that they can't do anything about it. So they brought the matter to my brother, I know, and my brother is the very nicest of my brothers. He beat me up seriously. I told him it doesn't work, I had no reason for living. I'm just with this girl that I can't get because of your religion and her religion. And now I found out something so beautiful. I'm not going to let baha'u'llah go nowhere. So they arranged some kind of a meeting where these guys, they come with the Baha'i books, and we came with the Muslims books in a meeting, and they lost basically the discussions that we had to me, because the Muslims that they were sitting there, they said to them that Abbas is right, you have no answers, we're not convinced with what you're saying. So, and this was just making them more and more mad, against me. These things will end up getting to fight and beating and other things eventually with those kind of countries. Those things are there. So I had, in one way, relationship with Mustafa and the friend in the teaching front, and the other way with Tawheed was a Baha'i. Always talking, and I remember when he comes back from work, he did not have a car or anything. He just had a bike, and every day, man, at 5 o'clock, maybe till 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 o'clock, 5 hours. I don't know. I would say in the last 2-3 years, we must have talked thousands of hours. One day I remember his mother came and says that they say that women, they talk too much, but you two are talking 24 hours. Aren't you getting tired? We were not, because the topic just was delicious. I don't know. It was an entertainment for us, because we were just, there's no relation really of teacher and students, neither between me and Mustafa and the friend, or between me and Tawheed. It was all friendship. So as you could guess, the matter became bigger. I remember one day I had no place to sleep because my father kicked me out. So I used to go to buildings that they were under constructions. The villagers, they come and they get hired, and one of them usually sleeps like a house sitting. But the house is under construction, except for one room they kind of prepared for him, and I was working in these areas. I knew one of them. I went there and I was there. I had no place to sleep. For a few days there, a few days somewhere, but I was just homeless, in the real term. So all of a sudden I saw Mustafa's 2 brothers and his fathers are coming towards me. He said, "You boys are going on heroin and drugs and this and that. Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Me, I was always afraid, people, all these kids are beating me up all the time because of this love I had. It was just mockery. See, in a matter of, I don't know, a year, I was so brave. I told him, "Mr. Shamirzadeh, please, don't accuse us of drug and this and that. If you want to know the truth, I'll tell you, it's a lot worse than that. We're Baha'is. That is the truth. I have become a Baha'i, Mustafa has become a Baha'i, and we have no fear. If you want to beat us for some reason. Don't beat me up because you think I'm..." As soon as I said I become Baha'i, he was like, "What did you say?" I said, "I become Baha'i. I'm a follower of baha'u'llah. Islam is finished." He looked back and forth at me. His face got pale. He looked at these 2 other children, and they were older. He told them, "What did you say about him? Why did you lie to me about him? Why didn't you say the truth?" The 2 brothers, Astullah and Murtaza, I believe they said that, "Well, we didn't want exactly to say because Baha'i is worse, of course, than drug, Daddy. So we didn't want to break the news that bad, that it is like that." He said, no, boys, you're making mistakes." He said, "That's very good to me." And he said, "Okay, you come tonight to our house." Seems like a multi-millionaire. All right, we go there. In our surprise, he tells us the story that he was born in a place called Shahmirzad, and apparently half of the people those villages, they became Baha'i at the time of Baha'u'llah. His father was a Baha'i and his mother was a Muslim, but before his birth his father died. Later on they told him as a kid that yes, your father was a Baha'i. He said, "That's all the information I've had, and I always wanted to know what Baha'i faith is." Of course, as soon as I start to talk and he saw the changes happening in Mustafa would be like, he would not trust his boy even one. I can't tell you the stories about Mustafa. He was a real vicious boy. I would not even trust him, nothing. All of a sudden he would trust him with the car, with the shop, with the money. He became the number 1 of his children. He had like 10 of them. Mustafa went right up to the top. Complete trust in him. Wow. So that's what happened, that he's becoming a Baha'i right now. You know what's going to do? It's going to create real havoc, because now we're children. Now it's a big guy is becoming a Baha'i, and especially a rich man. The story's totally big, eh? So one day, Nemat comes and tells me that in the Majidiyah were all these Azerbaijani Baha'is from Seysan. There are lots of them. They were there in that particular area. He told me that, Abbas, come on, that the Muslims, they have got a big louder speaker, and they've rented a house, and behind the speaker they're just swearing at the Baha'is' holy names and everything else. I said, really? He said, yeah. Imagine what we're going to do with your kids, 18, 17, 19, I don't know, to go deal with this issue. The culprit was a fellow by the name Akbar Agha. He was selling carpet and rugs. He was a big guy too, but he was very anti-Baha'i fellow. So I went there and I saw the Baha'is. They were all mechanical workers, plumber and electrician. They were really insulted, and they were going to launch an attack against these guys. I went and I told them, boys, these guys, they want you to attack them. That's why they're swearing at you. The best is for you, go home, do not pay attention to these things, put the TV on, and never mind what they say to you. Because if you do that, they're going to fail. Their plan is going to fail. And I read their plan. All the Baha'is listened to me, pretty amazing. They said, okay, Abbas, if you say that, that's what we're going to do. I said, no, let's stay here to create fight, because these guys have come here to make fight, because they want to put a lawsuit on you and all that you're violent people. So they went home, and I'm, victorious of the, plan. I'm coming out. As soon as I'm coming out, car from the police station, they call Kalantari, which means police station. Number 20 is called, Region 20. With a car took out like a detective type. Before being a Baha'i, I would see those guys, I would escape, God forever. For no reason, but we just didn't like police. Especially, detective like that. They came and told me that, hey, you. I didn't even pay attention, I was just walking. I said, yes. He said, you get into the car. I said, I am not, but what do you want? He said, we're police. I said, all right. He said, you're doing illegal things and you're in a serious trouble, boy. I told him that, all right, if I'm in serious problem, let it be. Let's go. So they took me there. They didn't beat me up, I don't think so. They said, what's going on? I said, well, I'm a Baha'i, and there was a war happening between them, and I was talking very nicely. Using, literally big words. They thought I'm a very well-educated person, and I must be somebody with the Baha'is, because Baha'is, they were very penetrated those days into the regime, to the dismay of Shobi Effendi and the Baha'i faith, but some of them, they were in the high areas, like they were generals or this or that. So they were, pretty watchful of that, what they're going to say to me. They kind of let me go. I said, look, you see. So that was the first incident that I was taken by these guys and was taken back. Then they came and attacked this Mr. Shamir Zadi that, you're Baha'i, this and that, this is wrong faith. Bab is false, Baha'u'llah is false, Muhammad is the last prophet of God, Islam is the final religion of God, there can't be any religion. I was there and I told them that I'm writing that I, Abbas Temori, have become Baha'i using and studying the Islam and the Baha'i Islamic doctrine, and I have been led to the Baha'i faith. And if anybody in the world can prove